Hello, everyone, and welcome to Area Express. Thank you for joining us. Today, we have invited the leaders of the Eritrean Development Foundation, Dr. Fickak Habtes and Kip Mackey, to discuss the work that they do. This discussion will be facilitated by the regional coordinators of the Midwest region, Wildu Abraha from Kansas City, Kansas, and Adalia Samuel from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So without further ado, we'll begin our introductions. Dr. Fickak, would you like to start?
Yes, my name is Fickak Habtes, and I live in Springfield, Illinois. My background is I'm a doctor of public health. I have been executive in the public and private, and I have been involved with the ERA and other organizations, Eritrean organization like Eritrean American Medical Association, etc., for 45 years. And this is one of the organization, EDA, I have been involved with for so long. Thank you.
Kip, would you like to go next?
Yes, my name is Kip Mackey. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. I am involved with the Eritrean Development Foundation. I started with the Eritrean Development Foundation in 1998. Prior to that, I was in ERC, and I started with ERC in 1980. And that's about it.
All right, Dr. Fickak, can you tell us about EDF and a little bit about your history?
Well, thank you. Yeah, EDF is the third organization which deals with development of Eritrea. Let me go back, Mr. Waldo, and I'll tell you about ERA. ERA is the organization which started the whole or created ERC and EDF. ERA was a situational organization which is created in Eritrea. Then another chapters start here in United States and Europe, and then ERC, Eritrean Relief Association, came out of that one. After independence, EDF in 1998, EDF started. So the three organizations are conditional and situational because they are creating of need and development for Eritrea. Kip may add to that.
Yes, EDF, which was founded in 1998, was created in response to development, as opposed to ERC that was started in 1976, dealt mainly with emergency relief. As Dr. Fickak was saying, ERA, which is the Eritrean Relief Association, was started in 1975 as a part of the social welfare program of the EPLF. It was a CBR, which is a cross-border relief organization that brought emergency supplies from the bordering country of Sudan. It was a tremendous organization and a legendary one because it was one of the first of that sort in all of Africa. And that's pretty much, I better keep it brief because I know we have a time frame here.
All right, so I have a two-part question. So I will direct this to Kip. So is the Eritrean Development Foundation a registered nonprofit? And can you speak to the differences between an EDF-hosted project and a bipartisan pass-through?
Okay, yes, EDF is registered in the United States. It's a nonprofit 501c3, which means that translates into making it tax deductible. So whatever you decide to give to EDF, you can take it off on your taxes. Sometimes we have people from different agencies who have things that they would like to donate to Eritrea, but they do not have a vehicle for that. So we call that a pass-through when they ask us to take their monies and buy the equipment for the development project and then send it to Eritrea. So that's the difference between the two. But whatever the case, most people come to us because we're tax deductible, which makes a big difference if you're talking about big money.
Great. Dr. Fickak, do you have anything to add?
Yes, both of them are dealing with, the past was dealing with Eritrea as a whole. Now EDF is dealing with new projects after independence, with development. And also we are involved in different projects, and those projects pertaining to the people, and maybe certain segments who need our help more than the others. So as Mr. Mackey said, it's true, all of them have the same goals, but different purposes.
Great. So, Kip, can you give us example of your successful projects and the difference it brought to our people?
Yes, okay, there are many, many projects. We started doing projects in, I think, 1999, and we followed through with most of our projects up until maybe 2018, 17, 18, 19, something like that. But these are some of the highlights. We had a solar lighting project, which required people on the village level to retransform or reconform their magogos. And once they did that, they were allowed to have a solar panel on top of their house. We had a women's training program in Karen that trained a lot of women to do welding and computer programming. DMK distribution was an ongoing program over the years. DMK is a cereal that was actually developed inside of liberated Eritrea in, I think, 1983, I believe. And it's very nutritious and a lot of people request it. The last time I was in Eritrea, I was asked to bring bags and bags of it back, and I had no capability of doing it. But it's It's an ongoing project where we raise funds to distribute that to places where there is some malnutrition going on with young children. We've done the e-readers. E-readers are tiny tablets that could be used in the classroom. We've done that project. Books for the blind. One of the first projects that I got involved in the early 80s was to buy oxen and seeds. Oxen and seeds for farmers was very much needed. So that was another project. A small project that we got involved in was a poetry project where people were writing poetry in literature books. They were trying to capture the cultural intricacies of the alo. You know, when you go to a funeral or when you go to a wedding, you have somebody who gets up and they repeat these on the spot poems. They're dying out. People are not doing them any longer. And so to capture the history, we donated some money so that they could print books recording some of these poems. A big project was the micro lending project for women. In this case, there were two facets of it. One was for women to purchase milk cows, and they could purchase the milk cows and not have to pay a large amount of money on the loan. Once they purchased the milk cows, they could produce the milk for the family and also sell it and then make enough money to buy 2 cows. The other side of the coin on the micro lending was for women to open small shops. You know, the small Dequan shops that you see on the corners in Asmara or in small villages, that enabled these women to start these small shops so that they could make money for their families, especially if they were the only breadwinner of the family. A big project that we had, of course, is the maternity home in Kirkabet. That is perhaps the longest project that we had to work on. The maternity project is completed. It is close to the Sudanese border. Dr. Fickak and I got a chance to visit it, to see the beauty of it. It's very proficient. It's 2 large buildings on a compound, very nicely done. And our current project is for the Abraha Bata School for the Blind in Asmara. And we hope to raise funds to purchase materials, educational materials, books, computers, and printers, and et cetera, for the blind students. So that's pretty much a highlight of the many projects that we worked on. There were many more, but these were the bigger ones.
Thank you, Kip. Dr. V, do you have anything to add to?
Well, Mr. Kip Raphael Mackey covered it well, so I will leave it that way for the sake of time.
Great, thank you. So as a nonprofit, can you talk a bit about your funding sources? Who are some of the funders and how do you keep them updated on what you all are doing? I will direct that to Dr. Fickak.
Thank you. Our funders are grassroots. We are professional beggars for the common good of all of the people of Eritrea, because when our people call on us, we respond. Whatever may be, we call on people of different kind, organization, etc. We ask for help based on the project. For example, once I was a president of the Lions Club in my local town, Springfield, Illinois. As a president, I decided all the medical equipment who were going to Belize. I begged my colleagues to send it to Eritrea. So many people like Mr. Kip Raphael Mackey, he lives in Louisville, Kentucky. What he does, he go to the local headquarters for blind and ask for help. And we used to do that with different organizations. Mainly, we get it from the Eritrean people, Friends of Eritrea, Americans, and also we write grant through grant. So there is a lot of organization. Mr. Mackey knows it more than I do. I'll send half of the answer back to Mr. Mackey.
Okay, to name some of the funders, of course, that would be quite lengthy over the years, but I'm going to name some of the bigger ones. United Methodist Church, the Global Funding Initiative from England, Lutheran World Services, Mercy Corps, and of course, as Dr. Fickak said, private individuals with also local grants, both small and large. But I want to give a shout out to the Eritrean communities because you have always been there for us. And we hope that you'll continue to help us, even though we're going to try to move into the bigger American community for funding.
Thank you, Kip. Dr. V, do you have any organizations you collaborated with in Eritrea? And how do you engage with Eritrean communities here in diaspora?
Well, let me start with Eritrea. In Eritrea, when you ask somebody to help, it's our culture. We do help. When we go to any organization to help us, EDF, nonprofit organization, private, non-governmental, anybody can help us. And we are doing it for the common good of all, as I said, for the betterment of our people. So the collaboration is there, but few people we worked with. For example, when we built the Kirkabet building, we worked with Hamade. We were the fiduciary. When we get the money, it's a long story, a lady by the name Laura Kreisberg donated it. When she donated it, she died after she went to Eritrea. After she came back from Eritrea, at the age of 38, she passed away. She left most of her money to us, and we gave it to Hamade to build a building, maternity ward for disadvantaged women or women who need shelter. So we work very well with Hamade, and we did. Now we are working with Eritrean Public Health. The Eritrean Public Health can help us in different ways. Even though we build the building, if we can build it, would they come? Yes, they will come, but they need nurses, doctors, technicians, etc. So public health will provide us with nurses and doctors. And the building we built in Kirkabet is next to the hospital in Kirkabet. So they feed from each other. So there is a lot of other organizations like the Mr. Mackey mentioned it, with the educational institution. We do like library in my nephew, we help the ones, we work with them. And also, I don't know, I forgot the word, it's Masse. To print Masse, a book was written to keep the culture alive. So we give grants and we work in different ways with the Department of Education. So there are not specific people who belong to us, but when we call on them, they respond. And we are very grateful for that. And that's the Eritrean culture.
So can you add to how do you communicate with the Eritreans in diaspora?
Yeah, I would like to leave that one to Mr. Mackey. But what we do is we communicate through different kind of newsletter or by inviting them to come to our fundraising to be aware of what we are doing. So our communication is through letters or other means how to reach them. Also, we are grateful also for the embassy of Eritrea. Even though we are non-governmental agency, they cooperate with us and they help us addresses or maybe emails to keep in touch with these people. So we are independent, but we need the help of a lot of people. I would like Mr. Mackey to respond also to that.
Yes, we always try to, and we do, write letters and receipts to donors. We also give them calls, and Fickak has been nice enough to go visit them. He oftentimes gets in his car and drives all over the United States to go to all these different communities to tell them thank you. I would like to shout out again to the Eritrean diaspora, to all the communities, St. Louis, Nashville, Cincinnati, Chicago. All these places have been quite wonderful, and we couldn't have done any of this without them.
Minnesota.
Minnesota, right.
So I'm going to ask another question that I think will just be super helpful because you all do so much great work and have so many various projects that really intersect in a lot of ways the daily lives of our people. So how do you decide which projects to work on? How do you prioritize the different activities that you decide to engage in? I'll leave that to whoever who would like to answer that.
Okay, I'll go first. We follow the tradition of ERA. We are an organization that listens to the people. We let the people lead us. When there is a need, people will come up with programs and they will come to us and say, we need help in this matter. Can you give us some assistance? We also listen to various organizations inside of Eritrea. For a while, we were working with Vision Eritrea and we were partnering with them. So I think the tradition is to let the people lead. This is a part of what we call social transformation, letting people lead. And that's how the people on the ground get engaged and everybody benefits from the programs that we try to assist.
Well, well said, Mr. Mackey, and I will go with the same analysis or the thesis of Mr. Mackey. But one thing I would like to be different in another way, I'm going to look at a problem. When we see a problem, we respond, just like Mr. Mackey said. We respond because if there is a problem, we try to help on that one, or we try to eradicate the suffering or the pain of the Eritrean people. Let me give you one example or two. When Eritrea was suffering from FGM, we all know that our young girls suffering from FGM, unnecessary surgery, we try to respond. Personally, I worked with Minister Lul Gabrab. I went to Eritrea, gave seminars on that area, and it was well received. So when we see a problem, we respond. For example, another example, last year I worked, and before, I worked with organization, it's not an organization even, it's Get Together. It's very trusting and very patriotic Eritrean group. It's called EPLF Division. These people, young people, few of them, they collected over 250,000 people for disabled people. And we took that money. This year they did the same thing. Now they are doing the same thing for other projects. So EDF, what it does is we look at the problem and we try to nip it when the problem before it go bigger or larger. So the theme Mr. Mackey gave us was exactly true. We respond when there is a problem. If not, we look at development and how can we better the country as much as we can in our own way.
Thank you so much for sharing those examples. I think the work that you all do is so incredible. So my last question would be, what are your future goals for the organization and how can people get involved?
Okay. One of the things I think we're really trying to do is to modernize the organization. We've gone from having an office to being a virtual entity. We've had to save money. We'd like to get into the American community and larger funders to get money and through grants, possibly through the cooperation of corporations and so on and so forth. So we don't always rely upon the Eritrean community to assist us.
Thank you.
Well,
Dr. Fickak, do you have anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Adelina. I'll take it from them on the same line. What I would like to say is, even though we look as professionals or we do this and that, we are in reality, me and Mr. Mackey, we are a professional beggars and for the better good of Eritrea. What I'm begging for or asking or requesting, whatever you want, the way you want to put it, would like to call on the people, the humanitarian, in any shape and form, whether they are Eritrean, American, Australian, British, whatever they are, please help us to help others. If you help us, we'll make a difference on those people. The best reward you can get in life is when you put a smile on somebody else's face. If you try to put so many smiles on your own, you don't see it even, unless you have a mirror in front of you. But when you make a difference, I'll give you a good example. In the fields, me and Dr. Desvele were standing, and they gave him glasses from the glasses we brought from United States. And the man, look, he was blind. And with his broken teeth and unpolished teeth, he smiled. And that's the joy I'll never forget. Having said that, we are asking all the Eritreans and friends of Eritrea, when we make a fundraise, please come and join us. Please go to our website and donate. The donation we gave from ERA to ERC to EDF, we never took a dime out of it. We pay our own trip, we pay our own hotel, we do all the things. We pay it ourselves. Your money will go directly to the people and make a difference. So to help us, to help others, please help us. And we thank you for what you have done before and what you will do in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fickak and Kip Mackey, for speaking about your organization, the Eritrean Development Foundation. We appreciate you both taking your time today to introduce, but possibly also reintroduce your organization to the diaspora. And we appreciate you taking the time to do that. To learn more about the Eritrean Development Foundation, you're welcome to visit their website, www.edfonline.org, to learn more and get engaged. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, and we really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.